Welcome to our Books Summary channel, Explore Books.
Today, we will get a summary of another new book.
The World in 2050 by Lawrence C. Smith is a comprehensive analysis of how the world will change over the next few decades. The book provides a deep and insightful examination of the 4 key trends that will shape the future of the world: population growth, economic growth, urbanization, and climate change. Smith uses data, projections, and trends to make predictions about how the world will look in 2050, and provides an analysis of the opportunities and challenges that will arise as a result of these changes. Chapter 1, Introduction. In the introduction chapter of The World in 2050, Lawrence C. Smith outlines the purpose of the book, which is to provide a comprehensive analysis of how the world will change over the next few decades. He identifies 4 key trends that will shape the future of the world: population growth, economic growth, urbanization, and climate change. Smith argues that these trends are interconnected and will have a profound impact on the global economy, society, and environment. Chapter 2, Demography. In this chapter, Smith examines the demographic trends that will shape the world in 2050. He predicts that the global population will continue to grow, reaching a peak of around 9 billion by 2050. This growth will be driven by the continued rise of developing countries, particularly in Africa and Asia. Smith argues that this population growth will have significant implications for global food security, water resources, and energy demand. One of the significant demographic trends that Smith identifies is the aging of the population in developed countries. He argues that this will have significant economic and social consequences, including increased demand for healthcare and pensions, and a shift in the balance of economic power towards emerging economies. Chapter 3, The Global Economy. In this chapter, Smith examines the global economic trends that will shape the world in 2050. He argues that economic growth will continue to be a driving force in the world economy, but that the distribution of economic power will shift. Developing countries, particularly in Asia, will continue to experience rapid economic growth, while developed countries will struggle with slow growth and high levels of debt. Smith identifies several factors that will drive economic growth in the future, including technological innovation, urbanization, and globalization. He argues that the rise of the digital economy will transform the way we live and work, creating new industries and disrupting traditional business models. However, Smith also identifies several challenges that will need to be addressed, including income inequality, geopolitical tensions, and the risk of financial instability. Chapter 4, Urbanization. In this chapter, Smith explores the phenomenon of urbanization, which he believes will continue to accelerate. By 2050, he predicts that more than 2/3 of the world's population will live in cities, which will present both opportunities and challenges for policymakers and urban planners. Smith argues that cities will be the engines of economic growth in the future, driving innovation and attracting talent. However, he also identifies several challenges associated with urbanization, including congestion, pollution, and the need to provide adequate infrastructure and services. Smith explores the potential for smart cities and sustainable urban development to address these challenges, but also notes the need for strong governance and planning to ensure that cities are livable and inclusive. Chapter 5, Energy and Natural Resources. In this chapter, Smith examines the future of energy and natural resources in the world in 2050. He argues that the world will continue to rely on fossil fuels for the foreseeable future, but that there will be a shift towards cleaner, more efficient energy sources. Smith identifies several key trends that will shape the energy landscape in the future, including the rise of renewables, the growth of natural gas, and the decline of coal. One of the significant challenges that Smith identifies in this chapter is the need to manage resource scarcity and ensure sustainable resource use. He explores the potential for new technologies and innovations to help address these challenges, including new sources of water, improved agricultural practices, and the use of advanced materials. However, Smith also notes that these innovations will require significant investment and political will to bring to fruition. Chapter 6, Food and Water. In this chapter, Smith examines the challenges of feeding and providing water to a growing global population. He argues that food production and water resources will be under increasing pressure and that new approaches will be needed to ensure that everyone has access to these essential resources. Smith explores the potential for technological innovation and new agricultural practices to help address the challenges of food production, but also notes the need to address issues such as food waste, unsustainable farming practices, and the impact of climate change on agriculture. Similarly, he examines the need to ensure access to safe and sustainable water sources, noting the challenges associated with water scarcity and the need for conservation and efficient use. Chapter 7, Climate Change. In this chapter, Smith examines the impact of climate change on the world in 2050. He argues that climate change will continue to be one of the biggest challenges facing the world, with significant impacts on the environment, society, and the economy. Smith explores the potential impacts of climate change on food and water resources, as well as the potential for more extreme weather events, rising sea levels, and ecosystem disruption. He also examines the potential for technological innovation and policy changes to address these challenges, including the use of renewable energy, carbon capture and storage, and international cooperation on emissions reduction. Chapter 8, Governance and Policy. In this final chapter, Smith examines the role of governance and policy in shaping the world in 2050. He argues that effective governance and policy will be essential to addressing the challenges and opportunities of the future, and that there will be a need for strong and inclusive institutions at all levels of society. Smith explores the potential for new governance structures, including regional and international cooperation, to address global challenges such as climate change and economic inequality. He also examines the role of technology in transforming governance, noting the potential for greater transparency, accountability, and citizen engagement. Conclusion. In the conclusion of the world in 2050, Lawrence C. Smith summarizes the key trends and challenges that will shape the future of the world. He argues that the world will continue to be shaped by the four key trends of population growth, economic growth, urbanization, and climate change, and that these trends are interdependent and will require a comprehensive and integrated approach. Smith identifies several opportunities for innovation and positive change in the future, including the potential for new technologies and sustainable development practices. However, he also notes the need for strong leadership and governance to address the challenges of the future, and the importance of international cooperation and inclusive institutions. Overall, the world in 2050 is a deep and insightful examination of the future of the world, providing a comprehensive analysis of the key trends and challenges that will shape the global economy, society, and environment in the decades to come. It is an essential read for policymakers, business leaders, and anyone interested in understanding the forces that will shape our future.
Thank you for visiting our channel, Explore Books. We hope you found the summary informative and helpful. Please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for more updates. Happy reading!